My name is Bree, and I am, I hope that was Blair. I am 28 years young. I am very blessed to be able to work here at Gracegate as part of the staff team. And I am married to the man in the back there with the long curly hair. Whoop, whoop. All right, and for those of you that do know me, you'll know that me being up on stage here is kind of a normal thing, but me being up on stage at this point of the program is not a normal thing. And so I have to confess, I am nervous today. This is definitely out of my comfort zone. I think I'd actually rather dance this to you guys maybe than speak. But yeah, I mean, we could. If I lose my words, I'll start doing actions. But yeah, so bear with me. But I'm excited to talk to you guys today. This is the final week in our little This Is How We Do It series, which has been really exciting. And the first 2 weeks, we had our topics of belonging and discovering. We had Walter speak to us about the 3 C's, which was, does anyone remember? Courage, compassion, connection. Nicely done. And then last week, Jordan spoke to us about discovering, and that we see that whenever we search for Jesus, we always find that he's just happy to take us where we are at, which is such a beautiful thing. And this week, I get to speak to you guys about engaging. And the type of engaging this is not what my sister thought it was. You see, I told her, I was like, I'm speaking about engaging this week. And she's like, oh, you can speak about when Blair proposed. I was like, nope, you've got it wrong. That's not the kind of engaging we're talking about here. We're speaking about a different kind of engaging. So I want you guys to think, do you remember a time maybe where you were super prepared to be engaged in something? Like maybe you were heading off to your new favorite movie premiere, maybe and something was coming out and you're sitting in the movies and you're like, yes, this is amazing. It gets to the best part and then all of a sudden your engagement is broken because the person in front of you starts rummaging through their bags and answering a phone call, and then they're standing up and shuffling and like, oh, I spilled someone's Coke, and oh, it's a mess. Sometimes other people can actually break our engagement. Or what about sometimes we get in our own way, like maybe you wanted to go to a cool disco or school dance or something and you're excited to show off your new moves, but you get there and then you find yourself slinking into the background, and it's actually your own fear of your own inadequacies that is maybe holding you back from being engaged in that moment. So I want to explore some of these things today. And to start with, we're going to have a look at, I guess, a dictionary definition of engaging. So what is it? So engaging, the definition I discovered, it says to participate or become involved in. Okay, so that is a verb, it's a doing word, it's an action. And at Gracegate, we actually go a step further and we define this as connecting and serving. Connecting and serving. You can actually find on our website under our values section, and you can read all about it because we even go further and we say it is the action that goes with the heart. It is different for each of us, and it takes into account our gifts and our talents and our interests and our personality. It's also defined as contribution and ownership. And I really believe that engaging is a vital part of this community, of having community and having connection. And not just connection with the people around us, but building connection with God. So what we're going to do today, because I want to keep you guys engaged in this moment and in what's happening, and we're going to do that by having conversations. So I'm going to, in a second, put some questions up on the screen. Well, I'm not going to, Ben is. And I want you to actually discuss these with the person or the row next to you, okay? So to start with, I'll give you 10 seconds. Make sure you know the person next to you. Make sure you know their name. Say hi. Introduce yourself. Good. There's some chatter happening. All right, and then I'm going to throw your first question straight at you. Our first question is this: can you truly be a part of somewhere without being engaged? Can you truly be a part of somewhere without being engaged? I know we're going deep, especially you just met the person. But I want you to have a chat about this, okay? There's no right or wrong answer. This is just engaging with each other, having conversations. So I'll give you about a minute. So have a chat. All right, we're going to move on. We've got 2 more questions. Our next question is, what happens if there's something that is stopping you from engaging? All right, so that means that maybe there's something physically stopping you, like you don't have the time. Maybe you've got a family that actually takes up a lot of your time and your needs and your energy. Maybe you have some kind of illness that actually stops you having the energy to do that. It could be any number of things. So what do we do? What happens if something is stopping you from engaging? See what you think. All right, we're going to move on to our third and final question, which says, what if you are engaging, but you actually don't feel fully connected or like your relationship with God is growing? Have a chat about that. This is the last question. I'll give you 30 seconds. All right, I'm gonna stop us there, guys. I know, I make you talk and then I break it up. But we're just gonna put these conversations on the shelf for a little bit. And for all I know, you guys could have just answered all the questions of the world and literally got to the point of my whole talk. But the idea is that we're gonna answer these. We're gonna try to figure it out together today as we go through. So we'll revisit these throughout the talk. And I actually want us to keep having conversations throughout the week or throughout this month or the whole year. Let's continue to engage with each other. So we're going to start by answering the question of, why is engaging so important? Like, why does it really matter? I mean, can't I get away with just, being here, but not really being engaged? I mean, I don't have to serve or be in a group to be, okay here or be allowed here, right? Well, that's true, but I do want to challenge you in this. In my research for this talk, I read a whole lot of articles by a pastor called Carey Nieuwhof, and he was really challenging this idea, and he wrote something, and he says this. He says, Jesus never said, attend me. He said, follow me. I read that, and I was like, whew, my goodness. Jesus never said, attend me. He said, follow me. So what is attending? What does attending look like? Well, maybe it just looks like coming to church on a Saturday and enjoying the lovely free coffee and sitting and being entertained by the things that happen up here, and then sitting and nodding our head through the message and enjoying some food, but then just going through our week and not engaging with the content, not engaging with the people. I think that's a little bit what attending is like. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? If it's your first time here and you are new or you're still figuring things out, if you really want to make this your community, if you really want to start this relationship with Jesus, we want you to be comfortable and we're okay with you just attending. We want to make that easy for you. But if you're someone that's actually been part of this family for a while, or you're a committed Jesus follower, are you just still attending rather than following? It's a pretty challenging thought, right? When Jesus said, "Follow me," this was him actually calling his disciples, and he was calling them to do life with him. They walked with him, they learned with him, they went along the road with him, they ate meals with strangers, and they fed the homeless. They helped to heal the sick, and they spoke life-giving messages, and they invested in the lives of other people. They were called to be engaged, and I think we are too. Today, most of our Bible references and verses we're going to look at come from the book of Romans, and a man named Paul wrote this book. Now, Paul is actually one of the most influential Jesus followers of the early church, and he started his ministry only a few decades after Jesus' death and resurrection. So in Romans chapter 12, he says this: "Here's what I want you to do. God helping you take your everyday, ordinary life. You're sleeping, you're eating, you're going to work and walking around life, and place it before God as an offering. Embracing what God does for you is the best thing you can do for him. Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into it without even thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what he wants from you and quickly respond to it." I think what Paul's saying to us here is that we need to give each and every day, he says every moment, our sleeping, our eating, our walking around, going to work, every moment giving that to God, not just a one day a week kind of thing. We live in this consumer-driven culture that is all about me and all about, does this feel right for me? Am I entertained? Am I impressed? Is this good for me? Can I get something out of this? Whereas I think what we're being challenged to do here is to flip that on its head. Because I don't think that's what Jesus is about, or what we want this community here to be about. We need to pay attention and engage to recognize and respond what God wants from us and what he's doing in our lives. So we're going to stop and have a little check-in with ourselves quickly. Where do you think you are in relation to attending versus engaging? And I know this is a challenging and confronting question. I mean, I find that for myself. Are we in this place where we're coming along, or maybe we are a part of a group or we're actively serving, but even within that, we're there for what we can get out of it, rather than maybe what we can give? I think that we can be connected, but still be consumers. I also believe that, we can be serving and engaged on the outside, but on the inside, maybe we're there for us. Maybe we're attending that practice every week, or at that meeting every week, or we're in the kitchen every week, or greeting at the doors, but we go to that practice because we want the limelight of the stage. Or maybe we're at the doors because that's where our friends hang out and it's fun. Or maybe we serve because of an insecurity and we actually need to do things to feel better about ourselves. And I know that's confronting, and I'm not saying that that is wrong or that you're a bad person, because I know I do that sometimes, and we're all human. And some of those things fulfill our human needs. But what I'm asking is, let's check in where we are in regards to that. Are we attending or are we following? Engaging isn't the action. It's not just doing the thing, but it's the heart behind it. It's being present and it's being real. It's about what we can give and not about what we can get. Maybe this is why sometimes we can be really engaged but not feel connected. It's about investing in others and investing in our faith journey. Now, I'm hoping we're kind of convinced that engaging is a good thing for us. So we're going to take a little bit of a different step here. What happens if if we're engaged, but we definitely don't feel like we are connected and we're not growing and we actually really don't feel valued, or all of these things, Brie, that you're saying come from engaging, I'm not feeling it. What happens then? Because I think that's a pretty real thing. Because sometimes it can feel like I'm just a means to an end. I'm just here because they want me to do this job again. It can feel like maybe we just want something from you. And I want to assure you with my whole heart that we don't want something from you. That engaging is about something for you. However, I don't think engaging is necessarily about you. Now, let me explain this. I think that it is for you, in that I think it's integral to growing and deepening our relationships with others and with God. I think it makes you a part of something. You contribute, you have ownership, you're part of that mission. And when I say this mission, I'm talking about, I think the mission for us as Jesus followers is to love God and to love others. And I mean, some of the ways that we do this here is to try and create programs that take away any boundaries of people experiencing God's love. I think that we try to serve and welcome and prepare for guests and run engaging programs for the youth of our community and practically serve and help people that are troubled or struggling in our community. The win for getting you engaged is to be a part of those things. It's not so that we can just keep running bigger, better, more things. It's to give you a place of contribution and ownership, a place for you to become a part of it and for your relationships with others and with God to grow. But do you know what? I know that sometimes it can feel like you're just a means to an end, that we just want you to do a job. And I'm going to say, we are sorry for that. It's not our intention to make you feel that way at all. And we don't always get things right. We're all only human as well. We want this place, we want church and every group or every program to be engaging. We want to attract you and we want you to feel comfortable and intrigued. We want you to feel welcome and valued. I think if we didn't do that, you probably wouldn't come back, right? In saying that, we can only get by for a short while on being served and being impressed. In order for our relationship to build with others in God, it means getting engaged. It means becoming one of the people who are sold out to make a difference for the next person. Unfortunately, I know that sometimes we don't ever move. We don't ever transition into that next step. And that has an impact on a lot of the people that are really engaged. And sometimes we can feel the sense of burnout. It's a vicious little cycle where we see people who are really engaged showing up early and staying late and giving more and doing all these things and staying longer and saying yes a lot of the time. And sometimes this is just because there's simply no one else. And before long, even these guys that started out so engaged and so in it and so with Jesus start to feel tired or worn out or pressured, disconnected. And I think once we feel these things, then we do start to doubt our value and we doubt our purpose and maybe we doubt our calling. We start to feel used. And as leaders and as a community, I think that we can get better at valuing each other in really practical ways. I think we can get better at saying no. I think we can even get better at saying, no, guys, maybe there's not going to be a dance this week. Or, no, there's not going to be some music this week. Or, sorry, there's not going to be lunch this week. I need you guys to invite your friends home to lunch or invite this new person out to that cafe down the road. And I think sometimes doing that, we could be valuing each other a whole lot more. And maybe if you're hearing this, you're thinking, Bree, what are you saying? What are you doing? Because the creativity, the food, the music, the engagement, all this, that's what makes this place awesome, and that's what it's about. And you're right. That's what it is about. We 100% agree with that. And if you're sitting here thinking that, then I'm glad, because it means that you have got the same vision and you have got the same win and mission. And maybe it means that it's your turn to take your next step and to start serving, to start engaging. Now, I know it's not simple. And I know that there's seasons in our life where engaging is the last thing that we can imagine adding to our list of things to do. I know that it can also feel like we have nothing of value to add or to contribute. Maybe something that might be going through your head is, cool, this sounds really good. I'd love to be involved, but I don't have anything. I can't do anything. I've got nothing like special that I can do or give. And maybe that holds us back and stops us from taking our next step. Do you know what? We aren't the same. And that's okay. That's actually good, in fact. We aren't supposed to all be the same. We aren't supposed to all be good at the same things or find joy in the same things. Engaging looks different for each and every one of us. I think this is why Gracegate has so many different areas happening all the time. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but on the back wall in the foyer in there, we've posted all our little areas, ministries, groups you can get involved in on the wall. So you can see them. And you can see where you might like to maybe write your name. And if you have written your name, or if you maybe go and write your name, in the next few weeks, we actually are going to try and get in touch with you. And we want to have a conversation about how we can help you get engaged. And we want you to know that, engaging does look different for each other. And if you see that wall and you think, I don't even fit in anywhere on this wall, or maybe I have something different to offer, then that's okay. We're not trying to box you into groups. We're trying to make it easy and accessible for you to connect with God and to connect with others. We know that there is more ways that we can contribute than we have thought about ourselves even. And we're going to take a look back in Romans at what Paul says here. Because he says, in this way, we are like the various parts of a human body. Each of us gets its meaning from the body as a whole, and not the other way around. The body we are talking about is Christ's body of chosen people. Each of us finds our meaning and function as part of his body. But as a chopped off finger or cut off toe, we wouldn't amount to much, would we? So since we find ourselves fashioned into all these excellently formed and marvelously functioning parts in Christ's body, let's just go ahead and be what we were made to be. I love that. Without enviously or pridefully comparing ourselves with each other or trying to be something we aren't. No matter how big or small you feel like your contribution is, or whether you're on stage or whether you're doing the dishes and no one even notices, you're part of this body and you're part of this community. And we need each and every one of you. We aren't all going to be doing the same things, and we don't want us all to be doing the same things. We want all these beautifully different people and gifts and energies to come together to make this beautiful whole. Remember, this is for you, but not about you. But what if it's not any of these things? What if it truly is that you physically can't engage, or you feel like you're stuck behind a wall, that you have nowhere to go and nothing to join in, or you physically can't fit that in? The thing is, I want to bring us back to our point. Engaging looks different for each and every one of us. It's not about you having to come and spend 6 or 10 or any amount of hours a week here at Gracegate. That's not what we want. Everyone is at different stages of life, and everyone has different capacities. That is how we are made. And your capacity level doesn't make you better or worse than the next person. We are all wired differently. And we need to realize that there's no perfect formula regarding of how much time we give or what we give or any of that. It could be something simple. Have you ever thought about saying yes to being on the A team, for example? Maybe you're only rostered on once a month and you come maybe and serve for 1 hour, one Saturday a month. Maybe that could be doable for you. Maybe it could be as simple as noticing someone who's not connected and grabbing their number after church and actually being intentional about messaging them each and every week and just being like, hey, how's your week going? Been thinking of you. I think a lot of what people need are to feel valued and loved in the context of genuine relationships. And that is one of our biggest parts of engaging. Paul says it beautifully. Back in Romans, he says, love from the center of who you are, and don't fake it. Run for dear life from evil, and hold on for dear life to good. Be good friends who love deeply. Practice playing second fiddle. Again, it comes down to loving and just to being real with that love and with each other. It's not about us. Engaging isn't about having to be busy or look like you're doing all the right things. It's about being present and being real. Maybe we need to make room in our life to serve others. Maybe we need to make room in our life for genuine relationships. Maybe we need to make room in our life for something that's bigger than just ourselves. So what does this all come down to? I really think it comes down to love, to loving God and loving one another. Jesus is recorded in Matthew 22, having a conversation with the religious scholars of his day. And they were kind of challenging him and trying to stir the pot, I think, saying, there's all these laws, but Jesus, what is the most important? And he just says to them simply, he says, love. Love the Lord your God with all your passion and prayer and intelligence. This is the most important, the first on any list. But there is a second alongside it. Love others as well as you love yourself. In order to love God, we need to really engage with him and engage with each other. In order to be more than just an attender, to become that follower, we've got to engage. I want to challenge you. If maybe you've been a part of our community for a while, but you haven't taken that next step and you've just enjoyed being an attender, and I hope you've enjoyed it, then our challenge for you is to maybe take that next step. Figure out what it is, what it means to be engaged for you. To take a look at your skills, your interests, your personality, your talents. Is it just getting that person's number? Or is it signing up and committing to serving in a really big way during the week? Know that no matter how big or small your engagement is, it's big to God. And he will develop you there, and he has a purpose for you there. If you are already engaged, I encourage you to stay there, even when it's hard, and even when you don't feel like it, maybe even when you're feeling burnt out. We need to find a healthy balance and take some time to discover what we need to allow God to do in us there. Maybe we need to open up to him more. Maybe we need to open up to others more. Maybe we need to rely on him. Whatever it is, let's take up that challenge and figure out how we're going to be engaged. I know that I have found this to be very true in my own life and why I'm super passionate about it. is because when I was younger, I don't know, maybe 19 or 20, I had some things happen in my life that really did rock my faith. And I grew up going to church, and I grew up serving in all these different areas, and I loved it and I was really in it. But what was happening at the time in my inside world really didn't match up with who I understood God to be. And I decided, I actually don't think I believe in God anymore. And if I do believe in him, he's definitely not good. The interesting thing is, though, I actually stayed, and I kept going to church, and I kept helping with the dances, and I had some young teenage girls that I mentored, and I kept meeting with them and kept welcoming at the doors and helping with lights and all this kind of stuff. And I was thinking about this, and I thought, it was hard because really I felt like I was there because I loved community and I loved creativity and I loved to socialize. But my heart wasn't in it. And I was stuck. I was faking it. But I'm glad that I stayed. And even though I was faking it, being engaged in that place slowly helped me to figure out this whole God thing again. Because slowly over time, I started to actually listen again to what the speaker said from the front. And I started to listen to the words of the songs. And I started to listen to the people that engaged me in conversations, and that really started to bring my heart back. And through all of these things, God slowly answered the questions that I had about who he was. And through staying engaged, even in the hardest time, I think is what has allowed me to rediscover and to deepen my faith and my relationships with the people around me. And today, I just want to leave you with Paul's words again. Back in Romans, he says, living then as every one of you does in pure grace. And I'm just going to stop there because I love that, is that no matter who we are, where we've come from, we're already living in grace. That's the point of grace. We haven't done anything. We don't have to be anything or serve any particular way to live in grace. We're already in it. He says it's important that you not misinterpret yourselves as people who are bringing this goodness to God. No, God brings it all to you. The only accurate way to understand ourselves is by what God is and by what he does for us, not by what we are and what we do for him. It's not about us. No matter how we serve or what we do or how much we do, it comes back to God's grace and his goodness. It comes back to the understanding that we are called to action, to go further than to just attend, but to be followers, to really live in that grace that he gives. It comes back to the fact that engaging is for you, but not about you. It's about him. And this is why we do it. And this is why we place so much value on belonging and discovering and engaging, and why we have so many ways and groups and ministries and places for you to connect in and to serve in and to grow in, because it comes back to him. And we believe that if you're connected with him, your life is going to be significantly better. You know, he wants your heart. So don't stop second guessing and just jump in. No matter who we are, where we are on our journey, I think we need his love more than anything else.